Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm here with you with the Hope Through Navigation program. Today, I am presenting the Just for Today meditation for May 4th. This is our Hood Recovery Services, Hope Offered on Demand, and I'm excited to do the Just for Today meditation with you. Now, if you need to reach me, you can reach out to me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's get into our reading. Okay, May 4th. What about the newcomer? Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. Tradition 5. Our home group means a lot to us. After all, where would we be without our favorite NA meeting? Our group sometimes sponsors picnics or other activities. Often home group members get together to see a movie or go bowling. We have all made good friends through our home group, and we wouldn't trade that warmth for the world. But sometimes we must take inventory of what our group is doing to fulfill its primary purpose: to carry the message to the still suffering addict. Sometimes when we go to our meetings, we know almost everyone and get caught up in the laughter and fun. But what about the newcomer? Have we remembered to reach out to the new people who may be sitting by themselves, lonely and frightened? Do we remember to welcome those visiting our group? The love found in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous helps us recover from addiction. But once we have gotten clean, we must remember to give to others what was so freely given to us. We need to reach out to the addict who still suffers. After all, the newcomer is the most important person at any meeting. Just for today, I'm grateful for the warm fellowship I found in my home group. I will reach out my hand to the still suffering addict, offering that same fellowship to others. What a wonderful reading. This is a part of our tradition 5. And I know most of the time we are discussing spiritual principle type concepts rendered in the basic text. We are discussing steps 1 through 12 in some form or fashion. But there's this whole other group of spiritual principles. Well, they might overlap in some way. They're called traditions. And we have 12 of those. And we also have 12 concepts of service. And that would be for people that are involved in service work. They would be what I would call the do's and the do nots of doing service work, the suggested spiritual principles for service work. But here, the traditions 1 through 12 are for the group. So each individual is expected to recover, right? Come into Narcotics Anonymous and start their recovery process. And those are done through working the steps. But the group is how we collectively reach out to people that are still suffering from the disease of addiction. So the group has the 12 traditions. And the way that they are strengthened is when every member familiarizes themselves with the traditions and works them. So that when we're together collectively, we have strength, And so this tradition 5 lets us know that the purpose of us coming together in a group to begin with is to carry the message to the addict, so to the individual who is still suffering from the disease of addiction, right? If you remember, step 12 says that we try to carry this message to addicts who still suffer and practice these spiritual principles in all our affairs. That's your individualism, right? That's you being willing to activate step 12 in your life by being an attraction of recovery to other people that are trying to find it. But here, the group in tradition 5, this is where their responsibility, the home group has a responsibility, right? It says each group has but one primary purpose, right? To carry the message to the addict who still suffers. And then it goes on to emphasize a quote from the basic text: the newcomer is the most important person at any meeting. I'm going to stop to share there because there's so much information in there that I want to unpack. But it's really quite fundamental. It's quite simple. We only keep what we have by giving it away. We received it freely, so we give it away freely. We don't charge for entrance into the meeting, right? No one charged you. In fact, in your first meetings, people say, if you're a newcomer, we're going to pass the 7th tradition, which states that every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions, right? And so we said to you when you first came, if you're new here, you do not need to put anything in the basket. But as you keep coming back, feel free. And that basket, right, supports the coffee, the books, the literature, the rent for the facility that we meet in. Even there's been some facilities that wanted to rent to us for free or allow us just to have a space in their building for free. And we have to tell them, we don't take handouts, right? We are fully self-supporting, even if it's $1 that we pay you for rent because you want to give it to us for free. We need to give you something, right? And there's such a spiritual concept to that, right? Of being responsible. And so it's the same thing here. The group is responsible to carry the message. That's our primary purpose. And even coming together. The individual says, I'm having a bad day, let me make a meeting, right? Okay, so you show up at an NA meeting and you sit in the presence of other recovering individuals. You may or may not share, but simply by showing up, there is a presence that is given, right? That even on my bad days, I'm showing up and I'm coming into the meeting because I know there's other people that need support in their own recovery. So we get together in a group and we might be excited to see everyone, right? Laughing and talking. But when it's time for the meeting to start, our focus changes to our primary purpose. And we don't want to lose sight of that. Now, admittedly, some people's primary purpose individually is not to carry the message to the addict that still suffers. I've heard horror stories about people coming in and making drug deals in our parking lots or hooking up with people that they want to sleep with. And, all of that does take place, right? I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't, but I will say it should not. And if the group is familiar with the individuals that are doing that hawking, I call it hawking. It's a term I learned in Kenya, right? It's hawking. It's a person that hovers over, right? Food, potential food. It's a person that hovers over a group of people with the intention on picking up the weakest link, picking up the weak link, right? Picking up the person that doesn't have the wherewithal to know that you are trying to take advantage. You are hawking. You are trying to take advantage of the fact that I'm new to this. or I'm needy. Maybe this has happened before. A female might come into the meeting, she's new, and she shares about her issues with being able to say no to men, right? So she finds herself, having sex with people that she barely even knows, and she doesn't feel good about that. She shares about that openly in the meeting. And you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar the hawk in the meeting, the person that is in the meeting for the wrong reason, is going to find a way to approach that woman. That's hawking. That is someone that is taking clear advantage. Sometimes I just cringe when women begin to share about their issues in that area, because I already know that if you are not strong and have some wherewithal and understand that that door has been opened now, the hawk in the meeting is going to make their way to you. It happens in just about every meeting, right? Because there's people that make game off of the vulnerability of other people, and so if the group is conscientious, they're aware of what their primary purpose is. It's not the group's responsibility to dictate how people live, but in the atmosphere of recovery, in the meeting, if the group is aware, that can be brought up in a business meeting. If the group is aware that this is taking place, they should and they have every right to address it. Right? That's why I say in the group's format, I really appreciate it when they say, we don't want any racist comments. We do not want, if you have a problem with men and you hate them, we don't expect you to be snapping. You know what I'm saying? We are not bullying anyone, and we're not being condemnatory towards anyone. And so in our formats, we should reflect sexism, you know what I'm saying? Sexism, racism, all of those isms, leave them. We're not interested in your politics. We're not interested in who you think everybody should vote for. I was in a meeting the other day, and yeah, there's a couple meetings I was in, but I was in a meeting the other day, and there's a lady. She uses tarot cards, and she's new. And the topic was step 2, in talking about coming to believe that we could be restored to sanity. And because it is a spiritual program, the things that are attracted, or things that are discussed as a result of it being a spiritual program, can go into spiritual realms. And I was waiting to see if the chairperson was going, because the host is the only person that could unmute, right? I was waiting to see if the host was going to address it. And she did. She didn't stop her from sharing. So everyone had to endure this speech about tarot cards and which cards to buy, right? Everyone had to endure that. But she came in after the person was done sharing and said, if you're going to read any literature, it must be NA literature. In fact, she let the person read the whole card, which I was opposed to, right? Because I would be opposed to anyone coming into the NA meeting and opening their Bible and reading a whole scripture. I would be opposed to that. I would be opposed to anyone in Wicca reading any of their literature to the group. I would be opposed whether it was Christianity or anything else, because we don't read anything but our NA literature, right? And so it's heavy. It can be very heavy, right? But it's only to protect the atmosphere of recovery and to protect the still suffering addict, whoever that might be. A still suffering addict is not necessarily a newcomer. right? Just maybe someone with some clean time that is thinking about, it's not worth it. This hasn't turned out to be what I wanted to be. And if what I say to that is that just don't leave before the miracle happens. The miracle that happens is the epiphany that a person has that they don't have to revert back to the things that they used to do to get the things that they think they want. And so I just want to encourage you today that if you are involved in a group and you have a home group, which means you have a selected group that you go to and attend on a regular basis, that you be mindful that there's newcomers there and everyone else might know each other and enjoy each other's company, but try to peep game. Try to peep out who that newcomer is and just say, "Hey, how are you doing? We're going to get some coffee after the meeting. Would you like to come along? I got your cup. I'll buy you a cup of coffee." Right? And they might not need you to buy them a cup of coffee, but just be mindful that there's these wallflowers, these people that stand in the background that aren't ready to engage yet because they're not familiar with everyone. And you could be that connecting piece for them. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed your company this morning. I hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for listening.